And when I say to people, I have my boundaries, they smugly raise their eyebrow and say, why do you need boundaries? Oh, human, you have a long way to go. You're not open enough. As though I'm obligated to be an open book about every corner of my life. What's next? Would you like to know the PIN number of my credit card too? I'd like to talk about what I think is the completely stupid notion of all or nothing love. Now, most commonly, what we all tend to think about is romantic love and this notion that it should be all or nothing. I think it just hasn't been the bane of my existence, but I suspect it's been a great thorn in the side of virtually all men. This notion that you must completely empty yourself to another person, typically the female, to actually be loved. Every last drop of what you have inside you. And this romantic notion that that's the way it should be. Letting go and giving every single cent you have, giving every single part of yourself until there's nothing left. It reminds me of that movie with Jack Nicholson in it, Something's Gotta Give. And if you can stomach the tired old gut-wrenching romantic tropes, there's a lot of kernels of truth that you can really glean, especially as a middle-aged to an older guy, when you listen to some of Jack Nicholson's lines and his frustrations. And he's been an old player for his entire life. And I'm not excusing, the emptiness of just going from woman to woman, but there's times in the movie, over and over again if you watch it, and Diane Keaton's character is just so self-assured that he should just commit to everything she wants just because she feels that way. And there's a line in the movie that sticks out, and I'm sure I'm not the only male, where it speared my mind and stayed there. It's when Diane Keaton is sort of love-bombing him with this amorphous, romantic, nonsensical, vague notions of what he should and shouldn't do because she feels this way. And he says to her, why is it always all or nothing with you broads? And she just laughs it off and saying, oh, we're just funny or silly that way. I don't know. No, it's not funny. It's gluttonous. It's abusive. It's all-consuming, where only the method in which you want to satiate yourself matters at the expense of another person, and you don't care if the character, like Jack Nicholson, is uncomfortable. That always struck me as a hallmark of abuse, where one party is the confident one or the much more confident one, and they're shaming the other person who's insecure, and they're trying, but they just don't get it. This all or nothing romantic love, where one is expected to empty themselves out completely. They call me selfish for trying to retain some parts of my life for myself only. They're things that are only for me. I may at times give a lot more to others, depending on the situation, but the selfish and entitled notion that I am not permitted to retain anything for myself. I must give it all to the person because that's real love. We look at historical literature and you read that men needed adventure. They didn't want to be devoured by the female, that the female tended to be the dream killer for any male with aspirations that wanted to focus on something outside himself and sort of reach a goal that had to do with anything outside of family, kids, and procreation. The fact that they require every single piece of you, that's real selfishness to me. When I look at selfishness, I see it more of a self-respect thing, a self-ownership thing, a sovereign thing, where I will cooperate with others, I will trade with others. But do not ask me to empty the contents of my wallet. This is why so many men are avoiding women more and more these days, because the bar of emptying yourself out completely for this all or nothing notion of sacrificial love, where a man is emptied out and a husk is left at the end and then just discarded. Any wonder the mortality rate for men is so different to that of women. When he is left, he is far more empty under this script of all or nothing love than she is, because this notion of all or nothing love has her at the center of who gives, who takes, and how much. To me, there's just a basic and fair question. Am I permitted to retain anything just for me? Why is there this sense of surveillance? You know, you hear guys saying, I better ask the boss, that is his wife or his partner, whether he can do A, B, or C. To me, it smacks very closely to a mother-son relationship. And the fact that many men that I observe find that perfectly normal, all the criticisms of men that, men act like children, no, ladies, it's projecting. You are treating us like your sons, surveilling us. Where have you been? Where are you going? Where is this relationship going? We were raised by women, and the script still continues. You know, I've been often told by family and people in my past, open up. You're not giving enough of yourself. You seem closed off. This was one I got often. You're holding back, human. Or that somehow we're not connected, or my life is separate to hers. This notion that I have to empty and reveal every single part of myself, even private things that there's no point nor reason to share with anyone, even males. Like, I cannot understand the nosy reason that people close to you need to know what you do and every step you take. I'm sure there's a great deal of insecurity because I couldn't give a flying what some of the people I care most about in my life do from day to day and hour to hour. I don't need to be a fly on the wall for everything everyone does. I have my own life, own passions and own interests, thank you very much. And I would suggest a lot of people need to find a hobby. If I'm retaining a portion of my life or a large part of my life to selfishly be mine, what business is it of anybody else? I mean, in the hopes of people being more secure and letting that petty shit go, can they ever find hobbies or something to do rather than be nosy and eavesdrop? I know women don't. They love gossiping. And look, maybe that's part of it. If I'm not divulging everything about my life, there's not enough to gossip about. I'm not feeding them material. I'm not feeding them information. As though I'm obligated to be an open book about every corner of my life. What's next? Would you like to know the PIN number of my credit card too? And when I say to people, I have my boundaries, they smugly raise their eyebrow and say, why do you need boundaries? Oh, human, you have a long way to go. You're not open enough. Again, this all or nothing, emptying of yourself. This is the sophistry. This is the sleazy way that the gaslighting presents itself. When they're saying, oh, if you have boundaries, human, you're not open. Yeah, go what? I'm not allowed to have ethics, standards, boundaries, limitations? As Clint Eastwood said, a man's got to know his limitations. Think about that healthy notion of knowing your limitations, knowing your boundaries, what you will and won't do because of the experiences you've had, and you've reflected and said, I'm not doing this again. The Einstein insanity notion, not repeating the same things over and over again so you don't get the same shitty results, growing and improving. But these expect you to be a goldfish and not learn from your past and be a better person and set boundaries and limits. See, at the heart of it, I think, is time. Men value time a lot. Women value their bodies. Men value their time. And most women's idea of romantic love is give me all your time. This all or nothing notion of give me everything of you sounds so romantic, doesn't it? No, it doesn't. It sounds all-consuming. It sounds like a vampire. To be absorbed completely, mind, body, and soul, is somehow love and romance. I mean, what do you expect from people who don't have an inner life or an intellectual curiosity. Of course, they want to be filled by somebody who seems to have a lot. With no interest of their own, why wouldn't they want you to empty as much of yourself as you possibly can into them? Well, no. Like I've said a few times, the healthiest thing most men can do is say no to women when they mean it. Don't let more of yourself go than you're willing to give. And the fact that other people seem to feel entitled to more than you're willing to give, it's just one of the things that infuriates me about family, friends, girlfriends, all these people that supposedly love you. Just try telling any one of them that, I'll give you 50%. It's like, well, why don't you give me 100? Because I need at least another 50 for myself, you selfish I'm sorry, this thing gets my back up because it's at the heart of a will to live. And when other people feel entitled to squeeze you out and empty you out and smile while they do it and move on to devouring something else or someone else in life without a second thought as they discard everything behind them, and these people want to run the world. You know why I defend my time and my autonomy and my sovereignty, regardless of what I'm doing? It doesn't matter if I just want to sit and read a book, or I want to sit with a blank sheet of paper and write or ruminate about something. I do not have to ask permission or pass it by anybody. I ask nobody for permission to live my life the way I want to. It's another reason I get annoyed at other guys telling me how to go my way. My time is mine, and especially as I get older, time becomes that much more important, in relation to my mortality, my grip on my time, and my defense of my boundaries and my autonomy is that much greater. And it just increases and increases. And people who have no intellectual or creative interest, who want me to fill them up, just can't understand why I have a limit in my tank for how much fuel I give these people. Hint, ladies, men aren't characters in your movies that start acting when you say action. Write your own movie and star in it. I really understand Jack Nicholson's sentiment at the end of Something's Gotta Give, where he says, "Why is it always all or nothing with you broads?" And Diane Keaton's character just flippantly just doesn't even care about answering the question. It's a question of fairness. Why does another person require every single piece of you? Why can't you retain the smallest piece of sovereignty and autonomy for yourself? Why does another need every single piece of me? Can I retain nothing for myself? So much for the fairer sex, right? No, there's nothing fair about it. My time is mine. Share it with me cooperatively, sure, but it's not yours to consume. Don't let another blackmail you into withholding affection, lest you hand over everything. You know what the notion is to me? The notion to me is asking, how much does X cost? And the person responding, "Oh, I'm not sure. How much do you have in your wallet?" That's what this all or nothing love says to me. I'm not emptying the contents of me. Cooperation, give and take, not here, scoop me out, have all of me. This all or nothing, I can't breathe, I'm lifeless, I'm drowning, please save me. That's not romance, that's dependency. That's a child-parent relationship. That's immaturity, that's insecurity. That's an empty person abusing another because they don't have the courage to even intellectually be curious enough to fill themselves up or be fair in cooperating. Hey, I'll give you $50, you give me $50. None of this, give me everything you have and then cross your fingers, I hope I get something back for me handing over everything. It's not fear. When people say it's fear, you're not being completely open, I would ask, why do I have to be as open as you demand? Why do I have to give you every last drop of me. All or nothing? Fine then, it's nothing. I hope this was something to think about. Later, gentlemen. If you appreciate my content and want to say thank you, feel free to donate via the links below. It really helps me out. And share, link, like, comment, subscribe and hit the bell icon to be notified of my next videos. Thanks guys.